Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to You Always Win. I'm Guns for Hire, and I want to talk about Call of Duty today. Not just the upcoming title, World War II, dropping this November, but Call of Duty as a franchise in general. And of course, links to the articles that I'm going to be discussing here will be in the description below, so if you want to check them out yourself, they are there. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the Call of Duty World War II story trailer that was just dropped a few days ago, and how they're sort of trying to change people's perceptions of what this game is all about, because we know when they first showed the game, and especially when they were showing the multiplayer, people were outraged. I wasn't. I didn't really actually care, but this makes more sense as well, and I'm going to get into it. And the fact that there were women in multiplayer, well, there weren't women in the front lines and blah, 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 and then there was no, they're not showing swastikas all over the place and everything. Like, that's not historically relevant. This trailer that they just dropped a few days ago, I think really kind of answers that, and I don't think it was meant to be in a kind of shut up kind of way, but it really does answer that. First of all, if you watch the trailer, it's more historically, it is actually historically relevant. There's all guys around there. It's only men on the front lines that we're seeing there, and you get to see swastikas. So hopefully those people are a little calmed down. In terms of multiplayer, multiplayer is fictional. It is not based on the story. It doesn't need to be historically relevant. It's about customization. That's what people like in multiplayer. Yeah, it's still in the settings because it's relevant to the actual game title that's coming out. So it's set in World War II weapons and stuff like that. But let's face it, when we're in multiplayer, it doesn't really matter. You want to customize your weapon. Perks aren't real. You know what I mean? That's not historically relevant. You couldn't add that. It's multiplayer. It's not meant to be sort of a direct extension. It's a fictional sort of place where we get to go and shoot each other and play our own little games. So why not allow girls to choose girls? Like, what is the big deal? It doesn't really matter. All the camo, all the other stuff, it's just customization. If the campaign itself, which is what this story trailer is showing, is historically relevant and accurate, then that's all that really matters. The big thing here that I want to talk about is the potential, controversy that they're doing. They're covering what looks like in that story trailer remnants of the Holocaust. Now, how much they actually show in it, like how much they go into it, do we go into the prison camps? Are we going to see all that sort of stuff there? I don't know. I say controversial because, there's that whole thing that it didn't exist. Personally, I'm not going to get into that right now. Whether you believe that or not, it's irrelevant. I mean, we document it, it's known, it's discussed, so there you go, and it's part of it. It is part of this thing, and that is a juicy, juicy bit. You know what I mean? Like, before they were like, oh, let's not put this Nazi stuff in there because you think that they were being scared of putting in swastikas and stuff like that. They were scared to show it to be, politically correct, and yet they're talking about the Holocaust, and they're talking about enslaving and murdering Jewish people in it. So, I mean, I don't know. I can't side with the people that are saying that they're scared of covering it, that they're too politically correct. When they're covering something, a feature like this, that's ballsy to do that, Sledgehammer. Ballsy to do that. I'm thinking, based on this story trailer, it's going to be an amazing campaign. But I want to know how you guys feel about this. Does the story trailer, if you were one of those people that were kind of like, this isn't historically relevant, they shouldn't be doing that, they're going way too politically correct, blah, 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 because even I felt that. But after watching the story trailer, I have to say, I tip my hat at Sledgehammer Games for actually nailing this. And if they are covering the Holocaust, I mean, wow, that's a pretty controversial subject matter to be talking or covering, rather, in a video game. So I want to know how you feel. Does this story trailer, if you were one of those people that didn't agree with the historical inaccuracies that you saw in multiplayer, does it change your mind? How do you feel about it? Do you understand my point, though, in terms of multiplayer being fictional? It doesn't matter. It's just a fun space. It's a fictional little mini battles that we do, so why not add that? If they don't taint the actual campaign story and that's something that seems like legitimately historically accurate, what's the problem? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the future of Call of Duty. In a recent interview with Game Informer and Eric Hirschberg, CEO of Activision, they talk about historical settings of future Call of Duties. And basically what he said in the middle of this is that we can all agree we might have had one more future game than we needed. And you know what I mean? Basically, maybe they should have introduced, or maybe, a modern warfare, a Vietnam or something, or World War II, which is what we're seeing coming up, that maybe they pushed it a little bit too much. Maybe they had too many back-to-back advanced or futuristic shooters, and they should have mixed it up. This doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to completely abandon you know, futuristic shooters. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure in the middle of this, Hirschberg also talked about, you know, like, listen, the industry, it changes all the time. We can't just say that we're never going to do it again. So there is a good possibility that you're going to see more advanced warfare type settings, futuristic type settings in Call of Duty. But based on this interview, it does feel like we're going to be seeing more historically accurate. So it could be, you know, Vietnam. It could be, hopefully not World War I. That's just my personal opinion. Hey, I love Battlefield and everything like that. I just don't like the weapons in World War I. So we may see more World War II shooters, maybe more modern warfare ones, maybe the Gulf War, something more historically accurate rather than going to the future. And I think we've seen in the past that those have done well. Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare. I think when they started going into the future of Modern Warfare 3, again, they started losing it, because after that, after the peak of Modern Warfare 3, which is the best-selling Call of Duty of all time, if you look at the numbers, you know, after that, it just started going down, and they were really starting to strongly head into the future. In my opinion, it kind of feels like we might get the best of both worlds. I know not everyone is happy that they're going all the way back to World War II, but at the same time, some of them are happy because we're at least going boots on the ground. We're not going future, but maybe too far back. I don't know. How do you feel about that? I think it's probably a good, you know, based on this interview, if we're going to get a mix of advanced, you know, to keep the current generation happy, and also sort of boots on the ground, historically relevant, you know, shooters like World War II, Vietnam, Gulf War, anything like that, anything to do with actual historical battles or wars or whatever, may sort of feed both areas. I will not personally get the advanced warfare, but that's just me. You know, I don't like the futuristic stuff. I do like the boots on the ground stuff, and maybe that's just because I'm old school OG. It's not because I don't give it a shot. I bought every single Call of Duty, including up to an Infinite Warfare. I just don't play it. I get it because I like Call of Duty. It's just I don't like particular styles. And, you know, you may like futuristic, you may not like the World War II, you may not like boots on the ground, and that's perfectly okay. I think maybe a mix would be good, but then you're talking about 2 to 3 years, and since we have 3 major, you know, game studio developers, that's a long wait. Like, what happens if there's 2 advanced and 1 boots on the ground, or 1, you know, historically relevant? Or what's the good mix? Should we have 2, you know, boots on the ground and 1 advanced? I don't know. I don't know what the mix is. What do you guys feel? Do you think we should just go back to modern shooters, modern warfare type shooters? Or are you totally done with that? Do you want the futuristic? Do you like the infinite? Did you like advanced warfare? I can't imagine you're going to say you're going to like advanced warfare. But if you do, you know, to each their own. I'm curious to know how you feel about this. I think this is a good step forward. Even if we get a mix, I'm happy with that. I don't want to see it, you know, necessarily a certain chunk of Call of Duty gamers being schlumped off, but I think this would be a good mix. What are your thoughts on that? Good, bad? Do you want it all advanced? Should they even go back to boots on the ground? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below.
Recon airborne.